Busch Gardens Tampa is one of the best amusement parks in the world and is one of my favorites. With 8 roller coasters, there's a lot to love about Busch Gardens Tampa, and today I'm going to rank all of them. However, Busch Gardens isn't just about the roller coasters, as they also have a bunch of flat rides and some animal exhibits as well. If you guys want, I will make a review video on this park, Busch Gardens Tampa, if you guys drop me a few comments down below. Busch Gardens Tampa is very special to me as it holds one of my favorite roller coasters ever, and actually my 100th roller coaster that I've ever ridden. Overall, Busch Gardens Tampa is one of the best amusement parks that I've been to and holds many great rides. Anyways, let's start this ranking of one of the best theme parks in America. So now we start off with Air Grover. This roller coaster is just a kiddie coaster, and although I haven't ridden it, I can assume it places here. With a height of 24 feet and a speed of 26 miles per hour, Air Grover is a pretty standard kiddie coaster. Manufactured by Zero, this roller coaster seems to give a good thrill to little kids, however nothing too good for the thrill seekers. Next up is Phoenix Rising. The new for 2024 Bolliger and Mabillard inverted roller coaster made for families is a great ride. Although this ride is made for families and kids, it still delivers a great ride experience to thrill seekers like me. Having a speed of 44 miles per hour, this ride isn't too crazy, but still delivers a good enough thrill for everyone. Because this ride was made in 2024 and for some reason B&M was making pretty rough rides at this time, this ride isn't the smoothest, but don't expect a rough ride. It's just a little vibrating. Besides that aspect, I think this ride is actually pretty awesome and has some really cool elements. This ride also just looks fantastic. With a shiny blue color scheme contrasting with the sand and the grass, it looks really great. This ride also has pretty open trains with just a lap bar. And one thing I want to mention is that this ride station has some pretty cool effects here. Anyways, now let's move on to Cobra's Curse. Now this is one of my favorite family coasters. It first starts out with this pretty cool themed segment, and then it goes up this really cool elevator lift, which is actually, I think, my first one. And while you're doing this, you face this massive cobra statue, which is really cool. Overall, this ride is really smooth, and something cool about it is that it is a family coaster, and it first starts off going forwards, then it goes backwards for a helix, and then it goes spinning mode, which is really cool. This coaster is really smooth and really themed well, and I really like it. With a height of 90 feet and a speed of 40 miles per hour, this roller coaster is not only meant for the family and the kids, but also has a little thrill seeker part to it. This coaster is much different than anything I've ever ridden, and I really like it. With its really cool theming and different ride modes, this really can attract a thrill seeker like me, but also be good enough for the family and kids too. Alright, so now let's go to our first thrill coaster, which is Tigris. Starting off with the swing launch, which launches forwards, then backwards, then forwards again. Tigris soars up 148 feet and then doing the tallest inversion in all of Florida. This inline twist inversion gives great hang time, however it is neutered by the uncomfortable comfort collar restraints. Tigris not only includes bursts of airtime, but also positive G-forces, as well as some tall drops and pretty cool visuals. One bad thing about this coaster, though, is its restraints and trains. Premier Rides trains are known to be very small, and their restraints, which are the comfort collars, are even more uncomfortable. Comparing Tigris to another Skyrocket 2 roller coaster I've been on, which is Phobia Fear Coaster, I think Tigris has the disadvantage because of the comfort collar restraints, even though it has a third car. Overall, Tigris is a pretty solid multi-launch roller coaster. Anyways, now let's move on to our next roller coaster, which is SheiKra. This is actually one of my favorite roller coasters, and it's the first one on this list that makes my top 25 overall. I love this coaster so much that I actually had to get 2 rides in my limited time at Busch Gardens. This roller coaster is called a B&M dive roller coaster, and it dives over 200 feet vertically down to the ground. It is so fun and exhilarating. SheiKra opened on May 21st in 2005, and 20 years later, it's still smooth as glass. SheiKra not only has really good restraints, which are the old B&M over-the-shoulder restraints, but it also has really comfortable and spacious trains, which are actually floorless. Once you're at the top of the lift, you do a slow turn, which gives you a nice view of everything around you. Then you go forward slowly and look 200 feet vertically downwards. After you hang here, you descend 200 feet at 90 degrees. This is a crazy drop, and it actually scared me, even though I've been on way taller roller coasters. Anyways, after that, you go into your first inversion, an Immelman. This roller coaster inversion is pretty good. It's nothing too special, but it is not a bad inversion. After that, you go into a helix and into your mid-course brake run. This roller coaster brake run marks pretty much the halfway point, but then you do another mini drop of the first drop, 90 degrees around 150 feet. I know some people prefer this drop over the main drop for its supposedly better airtime, but I think they're the same. After you exit the tunnel, you go into another turnaround and into the splashdown. This effect is cool on ride, but is even better off ride when you actually get wet when the roller coaster goes by. With all the water splashing up, if you're in the splash zone, you will definitely get wet. After that, the ride is pretty much over and you do a slow turn into the brake run. Overall, this roller coaster is great. Whether you're in the front row or back row, you will get some pretty good airtime on both of the main drops. I know some people call this ride a one-trick pony for its massive 200-foot drop, and it is a fantastic drop. However, the ride is so much more than that. SheiKra has two big drops with tons of airtime, a splashdown effect, which is really fun, and just overall, the experience is just great. Not to mention, this coaster is smooth as glass like 20 years later. Now, SheiKra is a little short, only providing a few elements. However, those elements provided are great, as I said earlier. Anyways, now let's move on to another great B&M coaster. This is Kumba, which I sadly didn't get to ride because it was closed during my visit. This ranking of Kumba is based on what I've heard from reviews. Now that that's out of the way, Kumba looks like an ultra-intense roller coaster with this hell roll, which provides some great snap, and this airtime pop, which could be good and different from any other B&M coaster. Kumba also looks to have some great snap on its elements, and overall, just a fantastic, intense ride. Kumba also looks very picturesque with its sleek teal color scheme and its bright orange supports, including these interlocking corkscrews which look great from off-ride. One last factor deciding Kumba's ranking is its smoothness. In regards to the smoothness, some people say that it's rough and some say it's smooth. If you've ridden Kumba, please leave a comment down below. However, now let's move on from Kumba. This is Cheetah Hunt. Cheetah Hunt is an extremely fun multi-launch roller coaster, and it's one of my favorites. Having 3 launches, what's not to love about Cheetah Hunt? On this roller coaster, you really feel like a cheetah. Not to mention that there's also great looking theming and other fun parts of this coaster. Cheetah Hunt is a fantastic addition to Busch Gardens Tampa, and it's really good that they have this coaster. This great 2011 made coaster combines airtime and inversions, which creates a great gap between family and thrill. This coaster introduces little kids to a lot of things that they might not find on other coasters at Busch Gardens Tampa, like this inversion and some launches. Speaking of launches, Cheetah Hunt's launches are actually a little bit more powerful than you would expect for a family thrill coaster. Some other things that I like about Cheetah Hunt are these low-to-the-ground trick track sections by the water, which look fantastic, and also Cheetah Hunt's trains and restraints, which aren't bad. Also, I just wanted to note how good Cheetah Hunt's color scheme looks in person, as it looks absolutely fantastic whizzing by the trees. Overall, Cheetah Hunt is a fantastic ride that I think deserves a lot more love. Cheetah Hunt has a moderate height of 102 feet and a speed of 60 miles per hour, so it's actually pretty fast, like a cheetah. Cheetah Hunt can be considered a family roller coaster, but I think it's more like a family thrill coaster. So overall, Cheetah Hunt is great, but it's not the second best at Busch Gardens Tampa. This is Montu, which is one of the most intense roller coasters that I have ever ridden. Although Montu opened back in 1996 and is over 25 years old, it's still smooth and extremely fun. This roller coaster takes you through many intense inversions and valleys that can give some great positive G-forces. Besides intensity, I also love Montu for these trenches that it goes in, which is great theming element. Montu's brand new color scheme also looks fantastic off-ride and on-ride. Having a height of 150 feet and a speed of 65 miles per hour, this is one of the bigger inverted coasters made by Bolliger and Mabillard. If you're in that parking lot and you see Montu, you see that it's really tall, and it definitely looks over 150 feet. Montu starts off with a twisted drop followed by a loop, which is so intense that it feels like it's ripping your feet off. This loop following a twisted drop is very common on many inverted roller coasters. After that loop, you go into 2 more inversions and then into the standout element of the ride, in my opinion, which is called a batwing. This inversion has some great snap and intensity, even for front row riders. After that inversion, you go into a mid-course brake run and then into another loop. On this inversion and many other, you feel like your feet are getting ripped off because of how intense it is, and also by how fast you take this inversion. Anyways, after that, you chill out going through some quick twists and turns and even a little hill, but you finally do a corkscrew that finishes off the ride. This concludes Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa. Super fun, smooth, intense, and just overall thrilling and great roller coaster. So that brings us to our number 1 roller coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa. This is Iron Gwazi, my number 1 overall roller coaster as of 2024 and 2025. This roller coaster is truly fantastic and one of the best in the world, possibly even the best in the world. Iron Gwazi is the RMC Rocky Mountain Construction conversion of the original Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. This was an old wooden dueling roller coaster that didn't stand the test of time as the floor conditions did not go easy with the wood. So after just 16 years of operation, Gwazi got converted into Iron Gwazi after a few long years. Iron Gwazi is an absolutely crazy and fantastic roller coaster and is my number 1 roller coaster overall. And that's after riding over 120 roller coasters. Iron Gwazi has a height of 206 feet, which makes it the tallest hybrid coaster in America. Iron Gwazi has a speed of 76 miles per hour and a drop of 91 degrees. This makes Iron Gwazi the fastest and steepest hybrid coaster in the whole world. Iron Gwazi was also clearly built to compete with Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point by beating it out by 1 mile per hour, 1 foot taller, and 1 degree steeper. However, Steel Vengeance is a way longer ride though. Now let's highlight some key elements that Iron Gwazi has. Also, if you want to see a full review of Iron Gwazi, please give me a few comments and I might do it. Iron Gwazi's drop is pretty great, that gives some great ejector airtime, and it also gets followed by this great outer bank, which is similar to how Steel Vengeance goes. However, Iron Gwazi then goes up just to go down, doing the death roll element, which gives some great lateral movements. And a few elements later, this happens, the wave turn. This is Iron Gwazi's best moment by far. For its amazing ejector airtime and sideways movement, this element is fantastic. Iron Gwazi also has a stall and a few hills that are also notable. And then Iron Gwazi ends pretty soon. It is quite a short ride, but it's definitely a fantastic one. So this is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. Possibly the best roller coaster in the world and definitely one of my favorites and is going to be for a long time. So this concludes our ranking of all the roller coasters at Busch Gardens Tampa. This is a truly amazing park with plenty of great rides to ride and coasters to have fun on. There are some world-class roller coasters and some that are not as good. However, it is a great lineup and definitely should be checked out by everyone. So finally, we're at the end of this ranking of this legendary theme park. And if you have any feedback or comments or questions, be sure to drop them in the comments down below. Anyways, please like and subscribe for more coasters.